Hey everyone, I'm Jeremy Watson. I'm a group manager here at GitLab. We're here together as the managed stage kicking off 13.8, releasing January 22nd, 2020. I'm joined by Larissa, Melissa, Matt, and Harris, and we're going to run through our stages and kind of what's ahead in 13.8. Larissa, you're going to be talking a little bit about the optimized group and what you all are working on. Love to hear more. Over to you.
I am. I will share my screen. Okay. So we're going to take this time. The 13.8 milestone goes over the holidays, so we have a bit smaller capacity and scope, and we're going to be focusing on some usability improvements and wrapping some things up that we've been working on. So the first one I'm going to cover is we are continuing to work on the user busy status and made good progress in 13.7 on this. So now if you go into edit status, you'll see the busy checkbox there as of 13.7. First of all, a usability improvement here. We noticed that this remove status and set status buttons had some confusing functionality. So for example, if I deselect the busy checkbox, I could click either one of these buttons and they have the exact same functionality. They basically save the change I made. So we are going to make it a little clearer that set status is just for changing, saving a change when you actually add something to the status. And then when you're removing something with the status, the remove status will become active and the set status button will not be active anymore. And then when I set my status, I can see in some places in the UI that I am busy. So for example, if I hover over my name, I can see that I have a busy status. So if I'm commenting here to somebody that has busy enabled, I will easily be able to see that they're not available right now. So you can see it appear here. We're adding that to a few other places that we think this is going to be really useful when you're assigning an issue. So we'll also be adding that busy status over here when you're selecting an assignee for an issue. And also we'll be enabling this by default in 13.8. So in 13.8, everyone will be able to see the busy status checkbox and have that show up throughout the UI. Jeremy, do you want to take questions at the end or as we go?
I had a question, but feel free to crack on and I'll ask it at the very end.
Okay. So moving on to value stream analytics. We have the horizontal navigation flow in place on .com. We'll be enabling that by default on self-managed instances in 13.8. And we're going to be flipping this design down here to be an actual table. So if you click on a stage here, and for example, if I click on issue, I'll get a list of my issues. When we flip this over to a table format, then we'll be able to do more interesting things like filter columns in this table. DevOps adoption. In 13.7, we added the DevOps adoption table, which I'm pretty excited about. So now you can add a segment, which can be a collection of groups, and see which features within GitLab have been adopted and are in active use by that segment. Next iteration on this will be to sort columns. So these little circles here will be filled in if that segment is actively using that feature. And so that will be going to 13.7. In 13.8, we'll be adding the ability to sort these columns so that you can easily see every segment in your organization that is using issues or is not using issues, depending on which way you sort it. And finally, on DevOps table, right now, when you look at this data, you'll be getting data from the last calendar month. So if my API development team was creating MRs in the last calendar month, this will be filled in. We want to make that data more up to date. So we'll be adding, we'll be fetching that data daily and showing for the current calendar month which features have been used. And then the last thing I have is I'm in the admin area. This requires admin permissions, and this is where we keep our instance level analytics. So we have the DevOps reports, the cohorts, and the usage trends for the instance all in here. We want to make this more accessible to non-admin users. So the first step we're taking is to remove cohorts from this list of analytics. We're going to leave that in the admin page for now, and that will be under overview users. And then we'll be able to, as a next iteration after that, move the DevOps reports and the usage trends out from the admin page. And for now, we're thinking about putting that back in the more menu until we have a better solution. But I think Melissa's going to talk about where we might be going with the navigation for admin page. Okay, that's it for me.
Cool. Thank you so much, Larissa. There's a lot of great stuff there. I'm excited about the improvements to the adoption report. I love that that we're continuing to iterate on that. Do you know if we plan on adding the busy status to the merge request view? I think that's going to be really important for code reviewers. If not, maybe code review group can consider prioritizing it.
Yeah, so under, what do you mean exactly when you say the merge request view?
So when you showed off the issues view, you showed off that the fact that you could click on an assignee and then you could see the busy status next to that assignee's name. But that was in the issues view. I was just curious if we had something similar for the merge requests view, so that a merge requester, when the merge request author can assign the merge request to someone and then visibly see that that person is busy.
Right. I think it's transferring across to the MR view. I think it'll be in both, but let me confirm that.
Cool. Yeah, I think that this will be an especially useful feature for them. So if we don't get that for free, then the code review group might consider picking that up.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking along the same lines, Jeremy, as you. Sort of where else would I like to see this? So definitely +1 on being able to see it wherever I see people selection. That'd be useful. So hopefully just updating the component would give us some of that for free. I was also curious, like, would those statuses be customizable, or would it be just a set of standard statuses, or is it just busy? Like, what is available?
You can still add the free text status. So you could have the busy checkbox checked, and you could also, like you can today, add a string of whatever text you want.
Including emojis, because that's always helpful. I think people can say so much through just, putting a palm tree.
Right. Yeah, so the emojis are staying.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to say that the concept of segments is really interesting, and I'm excited to see where that goes further, even outside of optimize, because I know, for example, in the recent usability feedback for groups and projects specifically, it came up that people just have a hard time finding the things that they need. And one suggestion that came up was, can I favorite, right? But I think another interesting thing to do might be to expose the segments, right? So that way it's another level of filtering on some sort of like meta data about a group of projects. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It could be something that we use throughout other features as well. For now, we're limiting it to just a combination of top level groups. But one vision we had was to add any combination of subgroups or any combination of projects. So it'll be really interesting to see what use cases come out for that.
Yeah, we'll take it further if like customers think that's the right way to segment and they're happy with the performance of the feature. If not, we might have to go in a different direction. But yeah, I think it makes a ton of sense. All right,
I
cool.
have
Let's crack on. Oh, sorry.
One quick comment that was spurred by what was just what Melissa brought up, and that is I've known from other tools in previous life that customers do like to put together programs, which is kind of a set of random projects put together. So just be able to put, you know, this and this, and it's not in a kind of a tree. And it's just like, these are the things that I work on. So my portfolio, and they would call that a program. And I think that's even a thing in SAFe. So if we're looking at that concept, that may be what we want to maybe research and look into.
Yeah, you're so right. And that's why I think we need to take our time with it. We wanted to start small before we go a little further, because we're going to have to take this concept and make sure that it works for plan, that it works for manage, it works for other stages. So I think we'll move slowly here, but once we have a direction, we'll make it available to everyone, I think so. But yeah, that's a great point. Program management, we have to support it with this feature. All right, let's crack on because we're short on time. Melissa, over to you. Sorry, I don't mean to put any pressure on you, but over to you. Love to hear more about Access.
All right, let me share my screen. So we also have limited availability, I would say, this next milestone, just because a lot of team members are taking time off. So we're focusing on a couple of issues and then some POCs around big strategic items that we're going to be working on the following milestone. So the first issue that we're working on is a continuation of our work on group webhooks. So our MVC that launched this milestone was around emitting events whenever members were added to a group. And we took that very small MVC because there was actually quite a lot of refactoring that had to be done to enable true group level events. So now we're continuing to close that thread out and be able to also see, edit, and remove of members at the group level. And what this will allow customers to do is that today we have customers that are actually polling the API on a regular basis to see changes that happen to members in their group, and they trigger automation on their side to just do things like add them to other groups, change their role, etc. So now instead of calling the API, they can just wait for an event from a webhook to trigger their automation. So this will be great for performance and just eliminating unnecessary API calls. And this is something that I've heard from quite a few enterprise customers, that they have, you know, a lot of custom business logic that they want to run based on members being added to a group. The other issue that seems like it's a pretty small thing, but it's actually going to be a good quality of life improvement, is to allow group owners to bypass SSO enforcement on GitLab.com. And what ends up happening is that as customers are configuring their SSO, it's really easy to accidentally turn on enforcement and not realize that you have a mistake in your configuration. And then they effectively lock themselves out of their group, and they have to call support and, you know, have them do something kind of embarrassing, but I'll show you guys. Support has been documenting every time someone locks themselves out, and you can see there's like quite a few times that it happens, and it's a terrible experience if you're onboarding to GitLab and, you know, as part of onboarding, you're locking yourself out. So we're going to change it so that owners can always access an SSO enabled group outside of SSO. So that will be a good quality of life thing. And then next, we're working on 2 POCs for some pretty big shifts in the direction for access. The first one being something that Larissa alluded to, which is basically better management of collections of groups and projects. Right now, we rely on the instance for a lot of behavior where we want a setting to cascade and basically be applied to all groups and projects, and for features that should encompass a collection of top-level groups or all projects, right? And that approach has worked so far for self-managed customers, but that really eliminates a lot of features for GitLab.com customers, or even group administrators. in large enterprises, it's very common to sort of like segment out and delegate ownership. And some of these features that are right now at the instance level are inaccessible at the group level. So we're gonna be working on a POC that's gonna be specifically focused on cascading settings without relying on the instance and having capabilities to lock a specific setting, right? So allowing admins to set a value up the tree, have that be applied all the way down, and have the possibility of locking it so that it can't be modified further down, and that would be optional. So we picked something very small, which was just a Boolean value of delayed project deletion, which is a setting that exists today at the project level, but there's no way to sort of default it at any level higher. So basically, if somebody wants to set a specific value, they have to go through all projects and setting. And there's a value at the group level too, but again, they have to go through every group and set it if that's something that they want to enforce. So we're going to give them sort of a shortcut way of doing that. I'm calling it at the instance level, but it's really just for multiple groups and projects at the same time. So this is going to be a POC, right? So engineering is going to work on defining the approach for this. And then at the end of this, we'll have a roadmap for building this framework that not only the Access team can use, but the vision is that any team that wants sort of like a collection, managing collections of groups and settings for them and features for them can use this framework. So super excited for this. And the other one is around what we're calling policies, but really it's the beginning of moving toward having custom roles. So being able to toggle on and off specific behaviors. So now we have predefined roles, right? And there's predefined actions that each of them can or can't do. So we want to provide more flexibility in that because not every customer's workflow is the same, right? People want different levels of action, and it's sort of an expectation from tools today that you are able to create your own custom role to do whatever you feel users should be able to do. The first action that we're going to experiment with is member management. Today, because of how our roles work, if you want, because they're not very flexible, what people end up doing is giving more people than they would like maintainer access just so they're able to do everything that they need to in their job. But one gap with that is that if you're a maintainer, then you can make other people maintainers, right? Which kind of takes away the administrative aspect of controlling like people's roles. So at the end of this, we're going to have basically an approach for policies, and we're going to have a POC behind a feature flag of basically customizing who can have member management and who can't. So you're able to toggle that off for maintainers and create sort of like a new policy on top of maintainers that disallows them from managing members. So that's it. Sorry, I took a long time.
Nice. No, I'm excited about policies. I mean, thank you for prioritizing that. It's going to be a huge improvement and usability improvement for our customers. And I just wanted to say thanks for proceeding with the webhook improvements. I think it'll also be helpful for our customers, but it'll also take a lot of pressure off of GitLab.com. So that's what I'm really excited about. Cool. Matt, over to you to talk compliance.
Cool. Thanks. Before we go, I just want to say, Melissa, I am really interested in following that cascading issue in particular, as you're well aware.
Yes, 100%.
So, cool. All right. So for the compliance group, given the same capacity issues everyone else has mentioned, we have a light load for this milestone, but a couple of really important ones. So we'll be finishing up the user access report. So in the admin users view, providing an export option to pull down a list of all the users along with their group and project memberships. We were originally going to show all of the inherited memberships as well, but ran into some technical challenges there, which is partly why this is carrying over to 13.8. But we do expect this to ship at least with this MVC. And that'll satisfy this major pain point. We hear from customers a lot around that central theme of getting data out of GitLab and into their business logic systems, into the hands of their internal or external auditor hands, et cetera. So the other one that I'm really excited about, because as everyone on this call knows, I've been just like killing myself over the last several months trying to ship this, but it ties into the concept of group level compliance pipelines. And so in order to facilitate this concept of the required pipeline configuration, but at the group level, we have to first extend the functionality of our YAML files. And so part of that is supporting the use of predefined variables within the include section. And so once we've implemented this in 13.8, we'll be following it very closely, also in 13.8, with the addition of a new predefined variable. And what that allows us to do, without spending too much time on it, because I could use the whole call for that, is in the proposal for leveraging this concept of compliance pipelines, we give the control to a compliance team to define and manage a baseline configuration, these required jobs that have to run for their sensitive projects within the YAML file. And so it'll allow them to create that centrally managed CI config, incorporate the local CI YAML file from any given project, and it creates the link between this centrally managed configuration and that local CI YAML. So these two issues that we're shipping in 13.8 are tied to that solution, and it's probably the thing I'm most excited about because I know that there's a litany of enterprise customers just waiting for this. We have some other stuff that we're covering in this milestone that are mostly backstage improvements as well. But I would say that that's probably the highlight for me are these two. If you can't tell by my giddiness. Any questions or comments?
I mean, I'm giddy too. That's all I wanted to say. Like, I couldn't be happier to see these improvements like finally scheduled, and like they're a combined weight of 4, which makes me like even more ecstatic because we've shaped them to like really small issues that are going to be huge for our customers. And I know that like some very heavy hitters have been asking for this, and I am like over the moon that we're going to be able to move forward with this. So thanks a lot for your amazing leadership here.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Harris, over to you. Take us home, man.
Okay, so I have about 7 minutes, which should be enough to run through everything that I have. Given that this is a somewhat of a short milestone, for group import, we have about half capacity available, and we have a good amount of support work and escalation work that just happens all the time. So we've kind of planned somewhat conservatively this time around. What I want to talk about is where we're going in 13.8 and then beyond for 13.9 as well. So a lot of this will apply sort of past 13.8 as well. In 13.7, we are delivering an MVC for the GitLab group migration, which allows the user to connect to another instance of GitLab and import one or multiple groups over without having to download the file, without having to upload the file. So that's going to be really useful. It's been something that our users have been asking about, and also something that is going to improve our stability and our supportability for importing from GitLab to GitLab. So as a follow-up to that, we've done some early UX research and gotten some feedback on things that were really important that we feel should be there sort of as soon as we can. One is this you know, as easy as kind of simple as it looks. This is really important. So the users were very confused about what this new group migration actually does, which objects and entities do transfer. There was an assumption that as soon as it shows up in the UI, it will do everything, and no one follows the link to documentation to figure out what it will do. So we're making it very obvious to the users that this is a work in progress. This is a feature that we've just started and we're developing, and it's in no way complete, because we don't want to create that impression that it does more than it does, and then you know, kind of have this dissatisfaction and have that first impression be not a great one. So we are putting a warning there that tells the user that not everything is getting migrated this time, and here's a list of, you know, things that is. And we're also using this opportunity to leave a feedback link so we can get more feedback from the users on what they find useful, what they would find useful, what thing would they like to see next in this feature, because we are so early and we're going to be able to react to the user feedback fairly quickly. In addition to that, we're introducing the concept of just the beta badge for the feature while it's in progress. So all of this communication will be removed when we reach when we, you know, get to the level to where, you know, we're delivering what people expect to see behind the feature, but for now we're leaving that there. So this is a quick follow-up, but it feels very important because without this, we're going to create some bad first impressions. The other follow-up was also kind of clarifying a confusion that we had on the page where we listed groups, where users were not sure if the groups that are listed here are all the groups that they can see, all the groups that exist, whether they can or cannot import them. Like, everybody had a different question about what it is, and it feels like we were able to consolidate all that information into this one sentence we're going to be adding. So we're going to have to do some front and back end work in order to get this data. But this data is going to tell the user a lot as far as what they're seeing and why they're seeing it, and have them feel comfortable about this. In addition to working to getting some of these UX issues in, we do have some non-functional requirements that will improve scalability, resilience, efficiency, usability. So there's a set of technical issues that were discovered during the MVC that we're going to need to place sooner rather than later, and we're going to use this time and this kind of transitional milestone between two larger features to take care of some of those things so they wouldn't cause us problems later. We're also going back to spend some time on instrumenting the import Gmao and create a single metric to track. We currently have 3 metrics that added together you know, track our usage, and we need to go back and make that one metric that's easy to see and easy to report off of. And finally, as a stretch goal, we are going to be refining some issues within the epic that is next up for the group migration, and our next goal is parity with the group export import. So with the completion of this epic, we hope to have a viable feature that will do all the same things that the current group export import does. That is going to change the dynamic on how we engage and invest in this feature, because we're going to be able to stop maintaining the feature that currently exists and take it off the docket, and that should speed up our ability to deliver the new feature, which will eventually replace both the group export import as well as the project export import, but then go beyond that. So it will do things that the current group export import and project export import cannot do. We will be able to get there, but on the way there, we're going to be actually deprecating and taking some of the existing features out because they will no longer be needed. So that's the goal. So the goal for this, for 13.8 is really to just do refinement on this and make sure that we're ready to start picking up issues from here in 13.9. Jeremy had the first question.
Briefly, what do you think it'll take to get the group migration feature out of beta? I really appreciate the small details that you've prioritized here around setting expectations with the customers and usability, but curious about how you see us getting out of beta.
I think we should be able to remove the beta when we deliver this epic. So when we get to viable and we get to being able to have on par kind of a feature set between the file-based group export import and the new group migration is when this is out of beta. Until it actually does less than the existing functionality, I think I would leave that, that warning there just to make sure that we create correct expectations.
Cool. Sounds good. Melissa, did you want to voice over your comment?
Yeah, just real quick, great job on, I echo what Jeremy said on focusing on usability, and also it's just really like a great example of iteration, I think, what you're doing, just to see all these small pieces coming together over a couple of milestones. So good job on that.
Thank you.
Hear, hear. All right. On that note, we're a minute over. So thank you all so much for a really exciting release. And everyone have a great holiday season ahead. Thanks all.